What's up, y'all? Jay Roos Theory. What'd you guys think of the Jake Paul, Hasim Rahman Jr. Press conference? Well, I guess Tommy Fury is not going to fight because of the thing going on with MTK Global. He's not allowed back in America. So looks like we got Jake Paul versus Hasim Rahman Jr. Hasim Rahman Jr. had to come down from 224 to 200 pounds, and they were going at it back and forth. Jake Paul was being real disrespectful, and Hasim Rahman Jr. said he didn't want to cuss, but he ended up cussing because Jake Paul was getting under his skin, trying to wager him. And Hasim Rahman Jr. said, "I don't bet money." So Jake Paul was like, "Well, if you don't bet money, change your name on your Instagram to Let Down My Dad." But Hasim Rahman Jr., I think he lost his last fight. But there was footage recently released where they were sparring, and Hasim Rahman Jr. was very mad at something. And he even said in the press conference, like, if you can beat me, why'd you tell me to fight with one hand and I couldn't switch to southpaw? So Hasim Rahman Jr. is basically saying that he got the better of Jake Paul in sparring, which I don't know. But it'll be very interesting to see. This is the first real fighter that Jake Paul has fought. I said on another video, I wish he'd fight Mike Rashid, since Mike Rashid used to be in Team Tyson, and he just knocked out a guy, 2 years ago that was in his 20s, and Mike Rashid's like 40 something, never out of shape. So I think Hasim Rahman Jr. should hand Jake Paul his first loss, because he's a true heavyweight. He's going down in weight, and they have a no rehydration clause before the weigh-in. So if he comes in, the weigh-in weighing 200, he can't, fill himself full of Powerade the next day and be like 230. But usually, though, I was kind of thinking, though, Jake Paul usually fights guys that he thinks he can beat. So maybe he sees something in Hasim Rahman Jr. that makes him think that he can beat him, or maybe he got the better of him in sparring. I don't know. But Hasim Rahman Jr. kept telling Jake Paul to release the whole footage of the sparring session. So if that gets released, we'll see what really happened. But I'm going with Hasim Rahman Jr. to win by knockout. Don't know how many rounds it is, but how many rounds the fight will be. So I'm not going to predict a round just yet. But I think Hasim Rahman Jr. will hand Jake Paul his first defeat. You heard it here. Jay Roos Theory. Shout out to Buckle Up Boxing out there. You guys go subscribe to his page, real knowledgeable about boxing. Shout out to Andrew Tucker World, the homie, my brother. Boxing Wave, Showbiz the Adult, Mr. Boxing Today 2, Counterpunch Boxing News with Kurt. And thanks for watching. Make sure to comment, share, subscribe. LSR forever, the reason I do this. And be fearless. Yeah, yeah.